Hello everyone, welcome to main stack development session. Before I talk about what exactly are the things we are going to learn in main stack, first I would like to talk about that particular word called main stack here. So when we are talking about this word called main stack here, uh, I can talk about something like EM. EM means I think you already people might have been having some idea about this. This indicates MongoDB, whereas E indicates Expressia, or we call it as Express.js. A indicates Angular, and N indicates Node. Right. So this is about what exactly the main stack is about. So before understanding what is EM, what is E, what is Express, what is Angular, and all. So first, uh, let us discuss about the basic web application working style, or a typical web application working style we are going to talk now. So that is, whenever we talk about any web application in this world, it will be maintaining a typical three-tier architecture here. When you are talking about that three-tier architecture, so the first one will be like a presentation layer will be there, and then followed by a business layer, or we call it as an application layer, and the last one is called a persistence layer, or we call it as a database layer. So whenever we talk about this presentation layer, this is the one which will be visible to the user. So for example, if you are talking about a Gmail application, you assume this is the Gmail application we are talking, then how the data will be stored in the Gmail, or how your data is getting transferred in the Gmail, what kind of code has been written for that, all such kind of things we can't see as a user. The only thing which we can see here is something like home page, or before that we have something like sign up page or login page, right? Only these things we can able to see as a user, right? So that is called a presentation layer is about. That is the reason this is the only thing we can see with respect to the entire Gmail application, right? But lot of things will be happening with respect to Gmail application. So that main what I can say main business will be happening at the application or business layer will be there here. But the entire application we can see, or we can connect only through the presentation layer, right? So that is the reason here we have a one more name for this presentation layer, and we can call it as front end here, because this is the only thing we can able to see, or which will be acting as a front end for the entire application here. So all together three types only called as a full application, but still we can able to see only this, or we can call it as user interface also, or people call it as UI. Why? Because whenever we are same story here, whenever we are talking about any user connecting to our application here, then definitely that user will be opening or connecting to our entire application by typing some some IP address or something like some domain name in the Google, or in the any of the browser. It can be down into node of Google, any of the browser. You can type that particular address over there, and you can connect it to our application. But that also, that connection also will be happening through that front end only, right? So that is the reason, if I talk about this entire thing as a complete application here, assume this is my complete application. So for that, that particular first box or block will be there. That is the main uh, entry. That is the reason we call it as between user and your application. This will be happening as interface, right? We call it as a user interface also here. Okay. Next, as I told you, the data, assume like, here some pages will be there, right? Some web pages will be there. So in those web pages, some data is already predefined. That is like some fields will be there, right? If you're talking about a sign up page, there will be certain fields. If you're talking about a sign in page, there will be certain fields. Assume, for example, sign up page. There you have to enter first name, last name, a mail ID, something like that, phone number, something kind of stuff you have to enter, right? So then what happens immediately? Your data usually will get transferred to the next level here. That is, application layer. Your data will be transferred to the application layer. So inside the application layer, what will happen? What should be done with your data will already been defined inside the application layer. So in terms of certain modules that is already defined. So that is nothing but here server side software, we call it as server side software. So that is already been defined in terms of what I can say certain modules here. For example, what I can say is sign up related activity will be taken care by one module, and if next some sign in related activity, that will be taken care by one module here. And if something is there, some purchase, then that will be taken care by one module, something like that. If some searching is there, that will be taken care by one more module here. So like that here, all the modules together will be defined and will be placed inside the application layer. So that is nothing but here server side software. If one has to develop this server side software, so that person should be having an idea of certain technologies here. So they are, you should be good at either Java, or you should be good at either Node.js or something like .NET or some Python or whatever, some PHP or something like that. You should be very good at, and you should be knowing these one of these technologies, not all, one of these technologies. So that is what your development of server side software is about. Okay, for example, whatever I took the example, same example we carry now. So that is assume like sign up page is there, user inside that browser, user enter the data, assume now. That data transferred now to the application layer. So assume the first is there, right? So this is your sign up related module, assume. So now the data will be taken by this particular module. Next, what this module will do is, what is the meaning of sign up here? The data has to be stored. If you have entered all the fields properly, then that data has to be stored as a new user information, right? So for that, what it will do, that application layer or business layer will internally calls a database now. So that will be calling a database, and the data whatever we entered will be transferred into that database layer. And inside that database layer, we do have something like certain database will be there. The database could be of any database. Here the database will be there, and inside that the data is going to get stored, whatever the data we have entered inside our web page. The browser, whatever the data we have entered, the same data. First stage it will be transferred to the application layer, and second stage it will be transferred to the database layer. So the third three-tier architecture we are talking, right? So the last one is called persistence layer, or we call it as database layer or DB layer. You can call it as like this. You can just call it as something like database. But these two things are something like together within that application only. We'll be writing the code to connect it to the database layer only. So inside this only, assume like this is a sign up related activity, right? So like that I told, some other related activity also. So in within this here, this one is called a backend here. So as we call this as front end, right? For entire application, user will be connecting through this. That is what we call it as a front end. But this particular portion has been called as a back end here, as user can't see what's happening inside that. Right? That's why we call it is happening. All the things, all the activities are happening at the back end. So that's why we call it as a back end here. And the guys who are working on these areas are usually known as backend developers. They are called backend developers. Fine. Yeah. Now, uh, okay, first one is done. Next, uh, second activity, like today we are done with just sign up activity. Next, I want to proceed with the uh, sign in activity or a login activity. So what you will be doing here, you will be entering same one more page. You will be clicking sign in page or login page, their username, password, enter. Next, again the data will be transferred from your presentation layer to the application layer, where uh, this is about login related activity, right? So assume like this is carried out by something like some other module here. This is the module which is or which may be the responsible. Assume like this is a login related module, and this will be taken care by this login activity will be taken care by this module. Assume this is registration or sign up here. I can mention something or registration, both are same, but yeah, this is sign up activity. Now the second one is something like login activity, where you'll be entering username and password. Again, it will be connecting to the database. But at this time, what this will be doing here is with your username, whatever you are entering, with that it will get the data out of it, and whatever the password you are entering, that password will be fetched out. You understood, right? So assume like yesterday when we are earlier, whenever we registered, at that time assume the username we gave is abc, and the password is something like 123. Assume that is the case. Now when you are entering the login there, abc you are entering, but the password you are entering something 456, whatever it is. Then what happens, whatever the password you entered, that password and the password which is getting out of database, both will be matched together. And if both are same, then you will be having your home page, and that home page will be written from your application or business layer to this your presentation layer or your browser. In simple words I can say. Got it? Or else, as I told you, like if it is a 123 actual password, but whatever you entered is something 256, then both will be matched. The result is like not matched, right? So if they are wrong, then what happens, it will be sending a login page again back to the presentation layer, but with certain message. Certain message will be sent back from your application layer to the presentation. You understand? So that is called responsive. That is called a response. So whatever we are talking here with respect to this presentation layer is there, right? So this is actually called a client machine. Why? Because this particular front end and this kind of connection I can able to do through any of the front end. I can say that is, for example, I can connect it to a mobile, or I can connect it through a desktop, or it can be anything. So this is called my client machine here, and whatever it has been developed here, and that's why I told you, right, that is a server side software. I told you, right, in simple words we call it as a server here. and this one is called client. So the data, whatever it is being sent, the activities, whatever it's been happening from your client to server are called request here. So the request need not be always in the form of what I can say is data, guys. Assume now you have one home page. Inside that home page, there's certain button is there called click, some click button is there. The moment you click the button, some activity will be happening right quickly. Assume like list of employees or something, whatever it is. The moment you click that button called list of employees, the employees list will be popped out, right? So that is called a request that has been sent from your client to server. Then server understands, oh, he's asking something like display some data of employees. Okay, if something employee record or something, what I can say, certain a module is there that will connect and that will get the data or fetch the data from the database, and the same data will be transferred to the your uh, client, that is called a response. So in this web world, always this cycle only will be happening, that is called request and response, request and response. This is only will be happening in the entire web application structure. So in this, if you are talking about typical web applications, the only thing changes here is business logic. For example, the same kind of structure usually be maintained by a e-commerce web application, where sign up, login, purchase, right? What I can say, those kind of things, like searching kind of things will be the same database, same front end, everything. When you're talking about mailing related application, assume like Gmail related application, you have created one more where sign up, login will be there. Next is send mail, you understood, right? Next is search mail. These kind of activities will be there. If you're talking about certain what I can say, like uh, a booking application, what I can say is flight booking or bus booking application, travel application, there sign up, sign in, login will be there. Other than that, searching the buses will be there. Next, booking the bus will be there, right? These kind of things will be there uh, as business. The only those things will be changing, but this what I can say, architecture usually will be maintained here. Okay, fine. Here I talked about my server. To develop the server, either Java or Node or .NET, something knowledge required, I told you. And next comes your database. So what kind of database we are going to use as a uh, developer to store the data? You can use any kind of database here. When I'm talking about the database here, here basically two kinds of databases are there. That is SQL, or we call it as RDBMS style. Actually, is more than the SQL, we call it as RDBMS style, relational database style. So in that category, we have so many famous databases are there. That is Oracle DB, or simply people call it as Oracle, or we can have something like MySQL, or we can have SQL or SQL Server, people call, which is from Microsoft company, whereas Oracle is from Oracle company. And we have something called DB2, which is from uh, IBM. So this is, all these are examples for RDBMS style databases, where you will be having the data in terms of tables, their columns, tables, and inside that the data will be stored. But there is one more style or architecture is also there, in which the databases can be storing the data. That style here is called NoSQL style, guys. Here, so there will be no uh, structured data will be. NoSQL means no structured data here. That is no strict like tables and all. Instead of that, here certain other formats will be used to store the data, and among them you will be having certain things like MongoDB and certain in some clouds, some AWS DynamoDB, certain things are there, but out of which MongoDB is one of the famous one. I usually prefer NoSQL style. Why? Because if I talk about this SQL style, where the structure is predefined and that is strict here. But assume you're developing something for some social media related application. Assume just like that, you assume like that. Then what happens here is uh, whatever you develop for social media related thing, assume like your post related activity. In social media, what happens? Post will be developing daily, right? Assume you want to store the data of right, post data you want to store. Always you want to store the post. Then what you have to do there? Post will have something like data, right? What data post will have? One day you can have post with only some text, normal text, just some message. Next day you can have some heading and some text. Next day you can have one image, heading and text. Next day you can have only image. You understand what I'm telling? It is the data, whatever it's been happening in the post in social media platform, any of the platform, is of dynamic, which will be changing from post to post, day to day, as well as that data is also an unstructured data. So here, so definitely we have to process the data in unstructured way only, right? So that is the reason. If you go with MongoDB and all, which is NoSQL related, definitely it supports structured one, and as well as it supports unstructured one. Clear? So this is about your database and all. Okay, fine. If we learn Node or Java or .NET, we can define server side also. Here we are preferring in this course Node here as a backend technology. We are using something called Node here. But whenever we do any development with the help of any of the technology, we don't use the plain technology. Why? Because still we can use and we can write the code, but there are certain what I can say tools or helpers kind of thing, helper kind of things are available in the IT or software market. They are called frameworks, guys. We call it as frameworks. What exactly these frameworks will do here is they are not technologies actually, but they are built on the top of certain technologies here. For example, if you're talking about Java, I think you might have heard some name like Spring, something like something called Spring. So where Spring is not a technology or new language, but Java is a language. But whereas what exactly this Spring will do here is Spring will make the life of a Java developer in the application development process here. So whatever the activity you wanted to do with Java, it will make it easy. That activity, it will make it easy here. So that's why we'll be using Spring for Java. In the same way, for .NET, you have something like .NET Core or something like that. It will be there. For Node, we have for Python, we have something called Django, or people call it as Django or Django here. Yeah, here we have something called Express or Express.js for your Node technology. Clear? So this is about your framework. Or when this is about your server development, as well as assume we are sticking or we want to go with certain thing like database like NoSQL style, that too with MongoDB database. That is also fine. Next comes your presentation layer or front end or UI here. So to develop that, I'm calling like in the browser will be opening and will be connecting, will be opening and will be connecting. Okay, if you want to open and connect it as a user, first someone has to develop it, right? As a developer, what we'll be developing here is we'll be developing the website. So to develop that simple website over there, website is nothing but what? It's a collection of different web pages over there. What exactly a website will contain? It's a composition of different web pages here. So here we'll be developing the web pages. But normal those web pages can be developed using the basic technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So to learn this mean stack here, having some knowledge in the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is required. Like HTML, CSS basic knowledge is enough. You don't need to have deep understanding of the HTML and CSS, but basic is enough. But when it comes to JavaScript, you should have some good amount of basics you should know about the JavaScript. But these are the the basic things how you'll be developing. But coming to this HTML, normally text data adding, that's it. The content will be added with the help of HTML, with the help of tags, and with the help of CSS we'll be adding stylings with the help of property names. But the main programming will be happening, the main dynamic pages will be created with the help of a technology called JS. But that is a plain technology, and there we don't use only JS. Using only JS also you can develop, absolutely you can develop. You're using Java, you can develop. Using Node also, you can develop. Using .NET also, you can develop. But as I told you, we take the help of uh, frameworks, right? In the same way here, JavaScript also you can do. But here, we'll be taking the help of one of the most popular front-end framework here. That is called, Angular framework. We'll be using, and with the help of that Angular, we are going to learn front-end. Understood it? So with this, we came to know like what are the technologies we are going to learn in our course. And as the name itself is suggesting something like server side Node and Express, and database level MongoDB, and front end level UI framework is Angular. It's all the things together here is the complete full stack development here. And this stack with Node as a server as a special name here. So that special name is nothing but here means. Yes. So these are the things which we are going to learn as a min stack developer here. So in this phase, in the first phase of your min stack development, first I will be starting with the UI framework here. So that is first I will be starting with the UI or front end framework here. So in that part here, we will be learning Angular first. And next comes your backend learning here. So in this, I will be starting. We will be learning all the things together. More, here, Node.js, Express.js, and Mongo. So in the first phase, you will be learning Angular. Next, in the second phase, you will be learning Node, Express, and MongoDB. Here it is not like you'll be learning only concept wise, just learning Node, learning Express. No, it won't be like that. Here, whatever you'll be learning here, everything in a practical approach. That is, if I talk about Angular, then you'll be learning Angular related fundamentals. You'll be learning what exactly the Angular is about, what is Angular and why Angular. So all those things you'll be learning. So other than that, you will be developing one application in Angular. So using Angular, how to develop an application using Angular technology, you'll be learning. But that is like pure Angular only. There you won't be having what I can say like any backend data, only pure Angular. So how the data will be there, and how we are going to work with that and all, so that you'll be learning there as a pure Angular thing. So other than that, Other than that, next we'll be learning something called node, right? So after learning the node, there node, express and mongodb, using that a complete backend will be developing one application, pure backend application without involving any front end over there. You understood, right? So in that regard, we'll be creating one simple backend application, and at the end we'll be creating uh, a backend application, right? For the same thing, we will again create one more Angular application as a front end, and we will be clubbing that particular, front end with the backend. Whatever the backend we created, for that, a what I can say, a compatible UI with front end called Angular, we will be developing and will be adding. You understood, right? So that is called, a complete application or full stack application will be developing. So in this minimum of three projects, you will be doing here, right? So this is about, your journey of the course and what are the things we are going to learn with respect to this course. So when I talk about this Angular, so there are certain things, certain features, or certain what I can say advantages you'll be having with Angular, and what are they? I just would like to talk about this for 2 3 minutes. Just attention on these things, guys. Here. So yeah, as we discussed, Angular is a UI framework that is used to build single page applications. You may get a doubt like what exactly the meaning of single page application. So, but if you use any application in this web world, we see generally we observe sign up page, sign in page, home page, right? Different pages definitely will be there. About us page, contact us page, so many pages will be there. But what exactly the meaning of this single page application is about? So actually, if you're talking about the single page means normally what is the meaning? Only one page, right? So, but if you're having only one page, that is not going to serve our requirements, right? So, whatever we are thinking, that is not that single page. You understand? So, all the things will be there: contact, related information, and sign up related information, login information, everything will be there. But all the things are considered in a single page called, some page will be there in your single page application style, where then how data will be changing here is all the other things like, sign up and sign in, all those things are considered as a component here. They are considered as components. Each component will have its own data, and that particular data will be rendered as per user selection, as per user clicking, or as per user activity on the application. As per that, different content will be loaded into your page. Instead of the entire page is getting changed, instead of that, some small portion of the page is getting updated. That small portion is called, component. So don't worry much about that what is component and all, because we are going to learn extensively about components in the Angular, how to create with them, how to work with them, how to make some fun out of it. All the things we are going to learn as part of our Angular journey. Okay. Now, yeah. Actually, as I told you, it's a framework for JavaScript. Yes, absolutely, it's a framework on the build on the top of JavaScript. But initial days when Angular 1 is introduced as an AngularJS, we call it as AngularJS. Angular 1 is called AngularJS, which is written purely in JavaScript language. But from Angular 2 onwards, the complete entire framework is rewritten by the Angular team in a language called TypeScript. Whereas TypeScript, I can say, is a superset language for our JavaScript. What are the things you have in the JavaScript? All the things can be there in the TypeScript, and other than that, some things will be extra in the TypeScript here. Clear? So that is written in the TypeScript. As I told you, frameworks are something, certain things they will not be considered as a languages. Angular is not a language. Uh, those things will be written on the top of a certain language. If you're talking about Spring is written on the top of Java. The same way here, Angular is written on the top of TypeScript. If I talk precisely like, plus Angular 2 onwards. And the present, whatever the Angular we are going to learn is 12. The latest one which we are going to learn in the classroom is Angular 12, guys. Yeah, it's Angular is developed by a certain team or a certain team or group of people uh, from Google, and now it is maintained by the Google people. Okay, Angular team will be there. So why we have to go with this Angular, even though we have HTML, CSS, anyhow will be there. JavaScript is there. You can write beautiful code using JavaScript, absolutely. But one of the main major advantage here is the fast development. The main thing is one more is modular development structure. Here, when you're talking about uh, Angular application development, everything is like module. Different modules will be there for different what I can say different activities, and also that improves your code style and all, everything will be there. That is what I'm talking code style, which means the readability will be uh, nice. It improves the readability of your code. What exactly the things you're writing. So this is like okay, this is like contact related thing. This component is related to contact. So all the information inside this component called contact will be having contact related information only. That kind of what I can say clarity will be maintained. So that is the reason the maintainability also very easy with respect to Angular. The meaning of this maintainability here, because if I have to create any application using my JavaScript, okay, I don't want to use that word called HTML CSS because anyhow that will be the default. But any application, if I want to develop with help of my plain JavaScript, I have to take care of that folder structure, right? Folder structure where my HTML pages to be placed, where my assets, like images and all those things, CSS files, JS files, different things, and where all those things to be placed and all, everything I have to take everything I have to take care. As a developer, we have to take it. But when you're talking about this Angular and all, that maintainability, no need of worrying. Angular itself will be providing you certain structure and all by default will be using. Absolutely, it's a cross-platform development. That is like this cross-platform. I can say in two three ways. One is browser-wise. If you are using different browsers over there, yes, it will be allowing you to use different browsers there. Yes, uh, you can able to work with different browsers. Means like assume you developed the code in your system, okay, and you checked it in Firefox browser. The same code whatever you developed for Angular can be run happily in the Chrome and on the Microsoft Edge and Safari and Opera, anything you understand. That is what cross-platform is about with respect to browser and with respect to what I can say running platform. That is like your OS platform. If you have developed Angular application in your Windows machine, okay, and the same Angular application can happily run on Mac OS or even on the Linux OS machine. That is what cross platform development is about. Yeah, all these two things together gives more speed and performance for your application. And when you're talking about the testers, you want to test something with respect to your Angular application. Testing is also easy because inside that Angular itself, there are certain things available which helps testing. So, or indirectly, I can say testing is also an integral part of Angular. So, testing is easy. Yeah. Next comes your some differences there. As I already told, this is based on JavaScript, AngularJS, but we don't use AngularJS. That's gone. We don't use AngularJS. We'll be using TypeScript written Angular 2 only, but not 2. From 2 onwards, this is written in TypeScript, right? The 2 is completely written in TypeScript. Next, the next versions will be there at 4, 5, 6, and all that. Certain modifications are done, or more than the modifications, I can say. Uh, New features are added into new versions, right? So that is what Angular 12 we are going to learn. So yeah, this is based on JavaScript. That is not more mobile friendly, but by default Angular 2 onwards 12 is mobile friendly. And maintainability, earlier it was not that much good if the size is code is big, like if you're developing complex application, then maintainability bit of hectic process, but nowadays it's easy if you're using Angular 2 plus. So there are certain things which are very, very important aspects with respect to Angular. Their components, templates, modules, data binding, services, directives, and metadata. Other than this, we have something called routing, how to approach routing, how to create routing, and what is routing, pipes, the dependency injection. These are some of the important aspects of the Angular, which we are going to learn in our course. Yeah. As I already told you, this component architecture, right? So whenever you're talking about any web application here, so this kind of structure will be maintained in Angular. So this is header component, this is footer, this is menu, and this is search. This is some content component, and this is some display related content. Right? So here, assume in this display component, there is some sign up related information is there. Somewhere in the menu component, assume there are certain links are there. If I click sign up, then a registration page will be opened in this display component. Assume, or if I click login, then login page will be opening only with the two parameters, like username and password. Or if I have something, some other search page, search component, something like that, assuming that my search component place, assume there I have typed something, some word, something like some some letter called a, and then click search. Then whatever it may be, assume like this is employee related information application. The name starts with our name containing a letter called a. All the employee information will be displayed. All the employees data, all the employees names related to a or containing a will be displayed in this display component. Example, or if you click something contact related component or contact information there, if you click that button, then contact related data will be displayed here. You understood that? So here this is entire application is now served within the single page. The only difference here is dynamically the data is getting changed as per the user selection. That change here is called dynamic nature about your application, and this change is not happening by reloading the new pages. So no, only one page is there. That is what I'm saying. That is the beauty of single page application, and Angular supports that single page application. Clear? And as I told you, these are the main building blocks of your components. I told you that you'll be learning extensively about components and all. So the main building block of your Angular application, it allows the reusability feature. You create that, that is what, uh, if I talk about contact component, and only to create contact component again and again and again, right? Not required at all. Instead of that, you create it once and you'll be using any number of them. It allows the reusability feature and more component, and what I can say is like more speed also, more speed and more readability here. It may look like something if you are using uh, more components here, then it will be like the number of components will be increased, and your application becomes like complex and all. No, not at all like that. If you are using more components, then there will be more readability as well as more or easy maintainability, and speed also more. Clear? So that is what your Angular is about. Okay, so first, as I told you already, in the first phase we'll be learning Angular, and then slowly we'll be finishing Angular as part of Angular learning. Just now we discussed, right, components and uh, you know data binding, services, directives, routing, all those main aspects of Angular will be learning, and then we'll be creating simple application in the Angular. But everything will be learning here practically, guys. Okay. Yeah. So that application will be learning later. Once we are done with that, once we are done with the simple front-end application, then we'll be going with node learning, Node.js, and Express and database. There we'll be creating one pure backend application. That application also will be testing, and that is called APIs. Whatever the application we are developing is called APIs, and in this we'll be learning REST APIs also, how to work with REST APIs. All these are real-time scenarios. How in a company will be using, in an organization real-time development is happening. With that standards we'll be learning the course here. Okay. Once the backend is done, then again we'll be creating one more front end for that backend, and then we'll be clubbing both front end and a backend, and we'll be creating a complete mean stack. application. And what are the things we are learning in the classroom, daily the same thing will be recorded, and you will be provided with those recording sessions. There's like you'll be having that or like it's a luxury of going through those videos at any time. Assume like you have missed a class due to some reason, and I'll no need to worry like what might have been happened and also not required. Simply you can go through that same session. So with your mail ID and your password, you'll be given access to a portal where all my videos every day, whatever it's been happened in the class, the live session, whatever it's been happened, same thing will be recorded and will be posted in that particular portal, and with your mail ID and password, you can able to access to that one. So the entire course will be uploaded, and even after completion of the course as well, you can able to access to the same for 3 months. Clear? So this is about how course and all. Clear, guys? So that's it from my side. I hope you people have got some understanding what exactly mean stack development is about and what things you're going to learn as part of your mean stack journey. Clear? And still, if you're having any doubts, uh, I'm open to your questions, guys. You can ask your doubts by unmuting yourself. You can ask, or you can even ask your questions in the chat box, guys.
Keshav,
Yeah, hello.
yeah, will you be covering TypeScript as well?
Yes, yes, yes. Will be covering that, but not as a separate one. As part of our Angular only, we'll be learning the TypeScript. Yeah, is that clear, Chandrasekhar?
Yes, Keshav, yes.
And Keshav, like, do we need like any prerequisites, like, or like we can go ahead like with absolute zero knowledge also, like we can start with the class?
Yes, that's what I'm telling. So a basic understanding of HTML and CSS, so that would be an advantage if you're having what is HTML, what is CSS. Basic, not like the deep understanding of the HTML, CSS not required. And JavaScript, you need a little bit of understanding of the JavaScript. What is JavaScript? What are the basics of JavaScript? That is like a prerequisite for Angular learning.
Okay.
Yeah, you're from? Your background is from?
I'm an MTech graduate in the field of ICT. It's more related to EC, but right now I'm
Okay.
working as a risk analyst in Amazon. So it is like an operations role. So that is not related to web development or any type of technical role. That is the reason, like I was asking this question.
Okay, okay, no problem. So this HTML, CSS is more than enough. JavaScript, some basics, okay, fine. No, you don't need to be a pro in these things. Basics, if you know, that is enough.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, we can start, no problem. In this, everything will be learning from the scratch, no? So you won't be having any problem. Everything will be starting from scratch. You don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other things?
Keshav, so what will we start? Will we start with the HTML or with the Angular one?
We'll be starting with the
HTML one or the Angular
no,
one?
no,
Like
no, no.
what?
Angular, Angular. This is mean stack, no? Yeah, Angular. We'll be starting directly with the Angular. Yeah, that's why I told you. No? The prerequisite should be JavaScript knowledge, basic JavaScript.
Oh, oh.
We'll be directly starting with Angular.
Okay, can we get you some CSS knowledge for the left menu and menus you are divided like a header and the footer is there. The left menu and the contact and search menu. For that, we get some knowledge regarding that? How can we can
Yeah,
create
yeah, yeah, yeah.
separate?
Yeah, okay. With respect to development, when you are developing Angular application, so there will
Mm-hmm.
be learning. You don't need to worry. Actually, you'll be learning Bootstrap also. I did not mention here, but as part of our application learning, there will be learning Bootstrap, and using which we'll be designing. Yes, no problem. We'll be
Okay.
designing. Yeah.
different sections of the application will be done. Okay.
Yes, yes,
See you.
yes. We'll be deciding that. Yes, yes. Yeah. Chandrasekhar, you're telling something? Hello? You're speaking something, Chandrasekhar? Okay, guys, then yeah, it seems to be, fine for you, right? I hope you understood what exactly the meaning of mean stack and all. Okay, thank you, guys, and yeah, hoping to meet you in next class, that is tomorrow. Okay, same time, 7 a.m. IST. Okay, and yeah, we'll be starting with Angular, as I told you. We'll be learning first TypeScript. We'll be learning the TypeScript knowledge in Angular application itself. We'll be starting with that one, and we'll be learning with Angular and TypeScript, that together we'll be learning. And then once we are done with the types Angular, then we'll be moving into our backend called, Node. Okay, fine, guys. Okay, uh, yeah, that's it. Whoever wants to listen only Angular, no backend also, yes, you can. It's up to you. It's up to you. Okay, then. Okay, guys. Yeah. Okay, we'll meet you soon. That is tomorrow session. Okay, bye. Take care.